Joining us now is David Rohde, executive editor of TheNewYorker.com. David, thanks for being here. I want to follow on what Neil Katyal was saying, that Judge Cannon's ruling last night was the single most atrocious trial decision I've ever read. And the hope, of course, is that the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals agrees with that. But the reality is that we are in a moment in American politics where we have to look at who appointed judges as an indicator of what they might do. And there are 6 Trump-appointed judges sitting on the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals. I find it distressing that the appointment, the presidential appointment, matters so very much. But Cannon has showed us a new side of the judiciary that should be distressing to anybody, and you've written about this. How are you looking at this moment?
It is unprecedented, and it's a deeply disappointing ruling, that she came out with yesterday. I want to point out the positive part here.
Please.
Which is that, the judiciary was actually the branch of government that fought Trump the most in 2020. More than 80 judges, 80 state and federal judges, flat out rejected his claims of election fraud. This was this key period in November and December. Nearly half of them were Republican-appointed judges, and some of them were Trump-appointed judges. So it was vital. It was a great moment for democracy. One branch, the judiciary branch, holding back an out-of-control president. What's happened, with Judge Cannon has sort of turned all that on its head. So I'm hoping that these judges at the appellate court, these Trump appointees, will do the right thing, as other Trump appointees did as well. And again, the special master, Judge Dearie, he was appointed by Ronald Reagan.
Yes.
So it's possible, but this shows the kind of slow, corrosive effect of Trump just pressuring judges, wanting everyone to be political and everyone to be loyal to him.
Well, yes, and one would hope that the humiliation of acting solicitor generals, the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, other judges elsewhere in the country would have a cooling effect on judges who would model themselves in Judge Cannon's image. But you have to wonder whether it will. I mean, there are other young judges that Trump has appointed who have made other rulings that have been similarly beneficial for the Trump administration, whether it's mass mandates and the like. And I sort of wonder if there's an analog to what's happened in the legislature, in the legislative branch, right? You had these single outliers, people who seemed like fringe candidates. And what we have seen, and we see it right now heading into November, is that it is a virus and it affects and infects a much larger swath of the conservative movement than I think any of us dared to think possible.
Yeah, it's sort of this alternate reality thing, this whole different world. And what was so disturbing about Judge Cannon's ruling yesterday was that she was almost echoing Trump's sort of worldview. She said, you can't trust the DOJ.
Yes.
She said there's been these media leaks. I don't know exactly what she's referring to. And she said, as Neil talked about, that a former president deserves these special considerations under the law, which is just un-American, fundamentally un-American. I mean, throughout this appeal, they cite United States versus Richard Nixon.
Yes.
And that was that, no one is above the law in this country, the Presidential Records Act, which is that government documents belong to the people. And this very narrow appeal is for, documents that are marked classified belong to the government. They don't belong to Donald Trump.
Well, and the idea that she casts doubt on the government's assertion that these are classified documents after a season in which Trump and his lawyers have lied, obfuscated, misinformed on like every count imaginable for a year. Yeah. The suggestion is it's the Department of Justice that we might not trust. Quote, even-handed procedure does not demand unquestioning trust in the determinations of the Department of Justice. But we have photographs of these folders that have the words top secret and classified on them.
But I agree with you. And what's, I guess, so disturbing, it's very disturbing now that it's a federal judge, but this is, again, how divided we are. And my worry is that he saw that your judicial branch stood up to him.
Yes.
He complained throughout his presidency when there would be these judges that would rule against him on immigration, on anything he wanted, and he dismissed them as sort of Obama judges. So he wants the public to think these aren't neutral arbiters. They're just, loyal to whatever president puts them together. And my fear, I do think he'll run in 2024. And I think it's a Viktor Orban, the leader, the authoritarian leader of Hungary, his playbook. You kind of discredit the judiciary.
Yes.
You discredit a rival source of power over time. And, if, let's say, 2024 disputed election and judges do the right thing and they rule against Trump, he will have discredited them in the eyes of the country.
And by the way, it works both ways. A lot of people look at what Judge Cannon did and say, can we really trust the courts anymore? The institutional atrophy is uniform across partisan lines. David Rohde, executive editor of TheNewYorker.com. Thanks for being here tonight, David.
Thank you.